Good evening, everybody on every platform. I am also streaming live on Instagram tonight, which is the first time I managed to do that. I've got separate devices, and I'm recording this for TikTok as well, but I can't go live on it. But never mind. How is everyone? How's your weekend been? And how is your house sale going? The objective of this video, and by the way, welcome to everyone who's watching it live. And if you're not watching it live and you're listening to this on the podcast afterwards, welcome to you as well. Whenever you hear me referring to things on screen that you can't see in the audio podcast, you will find links to them in the show notes below the podcast, wherever you listen to it, whether it's on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts or anywhere. And good evening, everyone, and a special welcome to all my extra new subscribers. I'm Charlie Lambden. This is Moving Home with Charlie, where I bring to bear my 25 years of working in and behind the scenes of the residential property industry, mostly in the UK, but a few years in Australia and Sydney as well. And I'm bringing objectivity and I'm seeking truth. And on my property website, Best Agent, I'm also going to be trying to create this open source house price index of recent exchange prices so that anyone who wants to know what's actually happening with housing transactions doesn't have to wait 6 to 9 months for the land registry to tell you. Right. This is a problem that cannot be explained or solved in a 60-second short. This is a problem that cannot be solved with the people who are suffering from the problem without a full explanation of this. And this is a problem that is worth the time talking about it because it affects everyone, not just the sellers who can't sell their homes, but also the buyers who want to buy them, and therefore the transaction volumes, and therefore the liquidity in the housing market, and therefore social mobility. So actually, the topic of this video is basically going to save society. I mean, obviously not literally, but it will make a contribution if we can get this point across. Sorry, that was a bit of a slurp. You don't like that, do you guys? Just yesterday, I had a phone call from a really good friend of mine who lives abroad. And we were catching up. He's a really close friend of mine. And one of the things he said to me was, I just can't sell my car. Don't know why. There's nothing wrong with it. It's perfect. It's great. But he just can't sell it. And I said, right, why? Is there any problems with it? No. It's everything's good. No problems with it. It's all serviced up to date. Paperwork's good. This is abroad, not in England. And I said, what do you mean you can't sell it then? I said, have you had no one call up and look at it? Yeah, I've had people call. Okay. Have you had anyone offer on it? Yeah, I've had an offer on it. So, well, then why can't you sell it? Because I can't get the price I want. And I thought to myself, you're a big boy. You should know this. It doesn't matter what you want or why you think it's worth what it is. The market will tell you. Now, in cars, it's easy because there's just one marketplace. You put it out there, people can find it. And this is a very popular car. He is selling. He still hasn't sold. And he's been trying to sell it for months. And he said, I left it. I took it off the price. I'm just waiting. I'll put it back on. I said to him, do you think that waiting is going to solve your problem? Do you think that when you put it back on the market, you're going to magically get the price that you couldn't get last time you tried to sell it? Or do you think you are just expecting too much money for your car and nobody wants to overpay for your car? So yeah, he's getting offers on the car, but they're about 20% below what he's asking for the car. And the price he's asking for it is because it's what he's convinced himself he thinks it's worth. And I have to be very careful here because the people I know and love watch this sometimes, and sometimes I don't know that they're watching it. And people I know and love, members of my family, my extended family, my close friends, will talk to me about their move. And when I talk about this situation, about sellers, I hear my parents talk about, we got these friends, they just can't sell their house. They just can't sell it. It just won't sell. And I want to sort of grab them and go, what do you mean it won't sell? Of course it will sell. Everything will sell. You just want too much money and the market for it isn't there. That is 99% of the time the problem. And even you get people going, but we've been really realistic. Well, we're not we have not been suckered into being overpriced and overvalued. I mean, we know the estate agent and we've trusted them, so it's definitely not overpriced. It's definitely not overpriced. And as per what I've put down here, if you're watching on YouTube and LinkedIn and Facebook and X, this is a comment that was sent to me just 2 days ago from someone who is trying to move house. They found a house they want to buy. They can't put an offer on the house they want to buy until they've got their house under offer. They've lowered the price several times. And this was the comment I got. Our house just isn't getting the interest that it should. Now, why do you think it should be getting that interest? Now, I did a survey, especially for this video, with the private WhatsApp group I've got of hundreds of agents that are all over the country. And I put a survey up and I said, how many of your sellers think that their house is special because of something that's special to them, but that buyers won't care about? For example, the new wallpaper, or the kitchen, or the fact they pay, something that they've done that they think adds value to it. And I got immediate responses in this WhatsApp group, almost sort of laughing and saying, is this April Fool's? I mean, it's basically all sellers. And this is the nightmare for estate agents, right? They're in your house. They want your business. They have to flatter you. What they can't do is say, you know, that new wallpaper you've put up, the wallpaper you've just proudly showed me that you think is really special, is going to make it feel really contemporary and zeitgeisty, and it's really going to get people competing for it. The wallpaper is gopping. It's gopping. It's a horrible fashion mistake that you've made with this wallpaper that's going to put the buyers off. Agents cannot say that to you if you are the seller. I've witnessed this personally once when I was actually looking at about 12 years ago, going to rent a place, and I was being shown around this house I wanted to rent by the owner. And literally just that, he had just re-wallpapered with I mean, I honestly thought it was some kind of weird joke, and I was on candid camera because it was the most revolting wallpaper I've ever seen in my life. He was so proud of it. And this is another reason why sellers should never show their own house, because a buyer cannot ask the awkward questions that they want to ask, which they can ask an agent, but they can't ask you if you're the seller. So what the point of this is, and I want to back this up with one more story. Sometimes there are other problems with the property, which would be the reason that it's not selling, not just the price. They might be more serious structural problems that are legal problems, whatever. But again, that just, every problem, there is a price at which the house will sell no matter what is wrong with it. But the way I got into the estate agency servicing, so as a supplier of services to estate agents, was by selling professional photography and floor plans, and back in those days, 360-degree virtual tours of the inside of properties as a single package. And we were way ahead. This is 2000, the year 2000. It was light years ahead of anything. I mean, there were still agents taking photographs, printing the photographs, and then photocopying them, and then faxing the photocopy to their website provider. And we very quickly, what we invented, we were the first company ever to do one-stop photography and floor plans and virtual tours. And I actually invented this service to let people sell their houses privately, because I thought the internet had come along, and I thought that means estate agents aren't necessary anymore. Big mistake that I learned the hard way. Was a very big mistake. And so we were mostly in London. We were also in Sydney. We had a team of 20 photographers. We were photographing up to 100 properties a day in London, with an average value 20 years ago of around about £1 million, because back then only the really expensive houses were having professional photography done on them. And so I had employees of mine, these were full-time employed photographers, in and out of people's houses at the point that the people had just instructed their estate agent. And I used to spend every single day with the estate agency clients in their offices, getting to know them. This is how I got to know the industry, right? And the first thing that I learned was that the hardest part of any estate agent's job is winning the instruction in the first place. The hardest part of all estate agents' jobs with very few exceptions, the very, very best agent, it just walks in the door to them, is winning the seller's instruction to sell. And I learned this the hard way because we were told, but all of our estate agent clients said to us, you are the first experience of our estate agency that our customers have once they've instructed us. You are the very first thing. They instruct us, next thing they know, your photographers are coming around. So they need to look good, they need to be professional, polite. And I remember we were given scripts like, if they ask you these questions, these are the things you mustn't say to them. Okay, because it's this critical moment when are they going to stay with that agent or not, right at the beginning. And in the first 2 weeks, they can change their mind and back out of a contract. And the nightmare is that not a single estate agent can say to a seller, I'm really sorry, but the thing that you think makes it special to you, or the thing that you've done that makes it special, and the love and effort and time you put into your property, is just not going to be recognized by the buyers. And you think it's worth 10 grand, 20 grand, 50 grand more than your neighbors with the same house because of the gopping wallpaper or the garden fence or the thing that you did, or the fact that the previous owner was a builder and who built it himself and therefore it's worth more. No, because he didn't want to live there, did he? So, and this is worth saying because it affects almost all sellers, and it's why almost all properties go onto the market at too high a price. And there's nothing we can do to help the sellers who are so far above the market that it's just cloud cuckoo land, right? Whatever. I'm not addressing you guys. I'm not addressing those sellers. I'm addressing the sellers who have convinced themselves that they are being realistic and that they have not chosen the highest valuation, and that they are asking a price that's really, truly fair for their property. And they just can't understand why it's not getting the interest that it should. And the solution to this problem, again, the caveat here is that I'm assuming there are no major structural legal problems with the search, problems with the title, problems with the boundary. Those are separate problems, right? I'm just assuming that basically there are no major problems with the property. So many sellers are absolutely convinced that if they lower the asking price, it means they'll get less money for the property. And that is patently, demonstrably, provably wrong. It is mathematically provable that the more competitive, the more surprisingly good value your marketing price, your launch price, your asking price, the more surprisingly good your marketing and asking price is, the more people will rush to buy that property because they think, oh my God, this is the only seller who hasn't got their head in the clouds. And then you will get competing buyers. And when you get competing buyers, it no longer matters what your asking price is, because the competing buyers are not trying to make an offer that's going to impress you as the seller alongside your asking price. The competing buyers are only worried what the other buyers are offering. And so your asking price and your marketing price is out of the window. And all that matters now is who's going to put in the highest proceedable bid. Okay. I cannot say this often enough. And even when I do say it to people, in fact, you know who you are watching me live on Instagram. Yes, it was you. At the end of this personal pep talk that I had, like, yeah, I'm just going to put it on the higher price. And in a rising market, that's not as bad a problem. It's not as dangerous. You don't risk missing the market when prices are going up. But when prices are going down, it can be such a mistake, such a massive mistake. And hey, if you're in a market where the prices are going up, you haven't got anything to worry about. You don't even need to watch this video. I don't know why you're struggling to sell your house. It's going to go up. So just keep a really high asking price and wait for the market to come up to you, right? Wait for the spring bounce, right? No, not now, not this year. That's not going to happen. And if you need to sell, and specifically if you need to get your house under offer so that you can make a bid on the next place, don't wed yourself to the price you think you must achieve, because all that will happen is you will reduce the chances of getting your next place. Now, if you're upsizing, you're not against the clock, because if hopefully the price of the properties you're upsizing to is also coming down. That isn't always the case if you're relocating to two different locations. You might be in an area where prices are falling, relocating to an area where prices aren't falling, and then you are against the clock. But you can only move if your property is under offer. And you can only get your property under offer with the offers that you're getting. And if you're not getting any offers, and your property's been on the market for a while, the buyers are seeing it and they're going, yeah, that's that one that's been on for months, just sitting there, must be something wrong with it. And they won't even inquire about it. They won't even inquire about it. And this whole problem is made worse by overvaluing agents. I think actually, so there are lots of you in the live chat this evening, and I saw some of you were chatting away long before we began this evening. Where are you? Ricky. Yes. Ricky Heath on YouTube says, I just put my parents' house on the market on Friday. The agent has 4 appointments booked for next week already. When they did the valuation, all of them said to get it sold 350 to 360k. I insisted the one I chose put it on for less. He seemed surprised. Very, very wise. Now, Ricky, you've done a great thing there, which is you have told the agent, no, I want it on lower because you know it's going to get more interest. And you have got a few viewings at the beginning. Now, fingers crossed those are good viewings. But what can often happen, and I've got no idea whether your house is really well priced or not, but if it is really well priced, you will get competing bidders and you will get an offer and you'll get it sold quickly, provided there are no structural or legal issues or that kind of stuff. But what happens is a lot of agents will get you those first handful of viewings in the first week, and then you don't get any offers, and then you just sit there wondering what happened. And if you put it on a too high a price, and this is why you must choose a really good agent, because the really good agent will help you get that price just right. Okay, I've been rambling about this for 17 minutes. Do we have questions from sellers about this? All right, because I feel like I'm banging my head against a brick wall. I feel like even the sellers who are listening to me are listening, but not hearing it. If you're not getting the interest you expect, then providing it's not because there are big problems, it's because your price is too high. And it might be because your photographs aren't good enough. That's also a possibility, right? You've got to make sure that the marketing, the quality of the photographs, especially in a market where you're competing with other properties, you've got to make sure your marketing is top notch. And by that, I mean, your home should look better in the photographs than it does in any of the other agents selling other houses like yours. AJ on YouTube says, good evening. I'm sat here binging all of Charlie's videos. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Wow. Let me know. Good luck. Keep going. I hope it helps. As a new seller who's just had his property on the market for 2 weeks, and already I've got a bunch of viewings and 3 offers by pricing it right. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening. 3 offers within 2 weeks. Thank you for listening, AJ. I'm so grateful. I can't tell you how fulfilling and rewarding it is to hear that anyone has actually listened, hoisted my advice on board, and followed it. Guys, if you have got questions, by the way, I'm looking for questions on this topic, but I will answer any other questions. Just write question on your comments so I can find it more easily. So Bob Nugnug. Hi, Bob. I do recognize that name because it's such a great name, but you're relatively new here. Says, hi, Charlie. When a property is offers over, what do you think about offering under on it when it's a new listing? Well, the answer to that depends entirely on whether the seller has listened to my advice and priced it really surprisingly competitively, in which case you will have to go offers over because they know they're going to get people competing at that price, at higher than that price. Or it's on with a seller who's been hoodwinked by an overvaluing agent and they've overpriced it, and they're just hoping that by saying offers over, people will think, oh, we have to offer over that. And then they'll sit there 3 months later going, don't know why we aren't getting interest in the property. I mean, it should be getting so much more interest. So the answer to that, Bob Nugnug, is it depends. And basically, if you've got properties that have been sitting on the market for 3, 4, 5 months, it's doubtful they've got any really hard proceedable offers. And as a buyer, those are the ones you should be going looking at. If the seller is in the right situation, getting at a good price. Yeah, I'm just looking at the. Yeah, guys, I'm not. I mean, there are a lot of ridiculously overpriced properties, and those aren't the sellers I'm trying to reach here. I'm trying to reach the ones who think that they're being realistic and think that they've chosen a good agent and can't understand why they're not getting the interest. And unfortunately, you just haven't been realistic enough. And there's nothing to lose from just lowering the asking price. Don't drop it a bit and a bit and a bit. That's called chasing the market down. And it's like death by 1,000 cuts. You never catch up with the market. And before you know it, 6 months has gone by, 9 months have gone by, and you're wishing you just dropped it a much larger amount much sooner. Cut hard. Get below the market. Get competing offers. So yes, Daisy changed to Buttercup, says mine is the right of way. So that's the problem you've got selling yours, haven't you? I could have sold it twice now, but just not found the right person who wants to be neighbour like me. People have an issue with private right of way access. So whenever you do have a property that's got something that puts people off, if you put that front and centre of the advertising and the marketing on that property, you will speed up your chances of finding a buyer, because only buyers who are okay with, in this case, a right of way, are going to come and look at it, and you won't have yours or their time wasted. Always, I've got a really compelling story about this. It's a bit of a long one, but always put the warts and all up front if you need to sell. If you don't, they will almost always come out in the survey or in the search pack months down the line. You not only have wasted your buyer's time, you've wasted your own as well. It's just, doesn't make sense to not put the warts all up front, because they're going to come out in the wash anyway. Cats123 says, and Cats, hi, you're a new name here. I'm going to try to be kind and gentle here, but it's going to be a bit tricky. Cats123 says, tried selling last year, but got fed up with time wasters. What do you mean by that? People that came and offered, but offered too low, or nobody offered? What made them time wasters? Cats123 goes on to say, we lowered our price 10% and still no offers. Also, where we're looking to buy is more expensive. Waiting for them to reduce. Go back on the market soon. So with deep respect and love and affection, Cat23, this is a classic case of someone getting it wrong. You could have moved last year into the place that's more expensive, because you could have got yours under offer. I mean, honestly, the most overpriced properties typically are around about, not all of them. Don't any of you say I'm saying all properties are 20% overvalued, because that's just not true. But there are plenty that are 20% overvalued. And they needed to come onto the market with a price 20% below that. Now, if you're thinking, well, hang on a second, I wouldn't have had enough to go and buy the next place. You don't know that. You don't know that. And the thing to do is to find out. So whack the price way lower, get offers competing, find out what offers you can get. Even at that point, you are not bound to proceed if you can't find a place to buy. But with an offer, with your property under offer with a proceedable buyer, you can then go and look at those more expensive properties and make offers on them. Then you're in a position where you might get the move done. But Cats, you didn't lower your price enough. You're now waiting. I don't know why you're waiting. I don't know how you think that's going to help. And you're waiting for the other ones to reduce while yours goes down too. It doesn't make sense. You've got to get yours under offer first, then go and offer on others, whatever you can afford. If they're sitting on the market too, they've got the same problem you've got. But if you all come down a bit, you'll be able to move. I hope you take that feedback with the good spirit with which it's meant. Yeah, this is such a tense, such a hot topic. I'm just looking for. Herbert Schiller, thank you very much for that, for my tenor, for taking your question. Virtual tours question. We are relocating 200 miles and trying to use virtual tours to increase our chances. I'm assuming that you're saying, Herbert, that you're selling and you're using virtual tours to increase your chance of sale. But I feel estate agents don't take these as serious. Any suggestions? I'm prepared as per your suggestions. Herbert, you haven't made it crystal clear whether you're talking about whether it's buying or selling here. But as one of the very first people to sell virtual tours in large numbers to estate agents in the late 90s and early 2000s, I can tell you what I learned. The cost benefit of virtual tours doesn't work. Photographs can be used everywhere. Agent pays for a photograph, and that photograph can be used in print, online, on their website, on the portals, on social media, on the brochure, everywhere. The virtual tour is much more expensive to produce, or it used to be. I mean, it's not so expensive now, but it is more expensive to produce. It doesn't make that much difference. People go ahead and buy these things thinking it's going to improve the chances. And what they miss out on, and what I learnt the hard way as someone selling virtual tours first and foremost, and I ended up selling photographs and floor plans in much larger numbers, was that the internet is merely what buyers use to make a viewing decision. Nothing more. It is a viewing decision. And so enough good photographs and a floor plan with a location map is more than enough information for serious buyers to make a decision about whether or not they want to view your property. Is a virtual tour nice if you are a buyer? Yes, it's nice. Of course it's nice. But it's not, it doesn't make a difference as to whether they're going to buy it or not. It might make a difference to whether they view it or not, but in some respects, it might actually reduce the chances of them coming to view it physically. So I'm not saying don't have a virtual tour on your property, but what I'm saying is don't expect it to make much difference. Some agents offer them because it sounds like, oh, that'll be good. But as someone who sold them both in London and in Sydney for quite a long time to a lot of agents, I'm telling you that the end result was they didn't make enough difference to justify their cost. Oh, Ricky, well done. You just bought the search pack as a seller. Well done. Oh, Ricky says, fingers crossed, Charlie, I bought the search pack too. Sellers buying a search pack are saying to the buyers, I am serious about selling. Here's a search pack. That is absolutely top notch. So that's you trying to be contract ready. Oh, okay. So Humbug Events on Instagram says, and I know that Humbug Events sold their home and then moved into rented and is about to complete on the one they're buying. And they bought it for 40% under the asking price. So what I'm trying, the point of letting the sellers know that if you're trying to move, if you're selling to buy, is that you've got a good chance of getting the discount you need on the home you're buying in order to make it affordable. Okay? VJ Andreo on YouTube says, hi, Charlie, it would be great if you could do a video on restrictive covenants. Never heard about this until recently. Is it common to see restrictive covenants? It's not uncommon in the countryside to see restrictive covenants. And this is another reason why, as a seller, you should come to, if you are serious about selling, come to the market contract ready, which means find a conveyancer first, tell them that you want to be contract ready, then go and choose your agent and say to your agent, I am coming to the market contract ready. Agents will fall over themselves to work for you if that's the case. And by doing so, if there is a restrictive covenant on the property, buyers will know about it up front and those who aren't worried about it won't be worried about it. Restricted covenants are basically usually very old rules that were agreed about what can and can't be done on the land that comes with the property, that kind of thing. XL2828, who I know from previous videos is a seller trying to sell at the moment, says it's too easy to get greedy and go for a higher valuation, but it's a false economy. Yes, you are absolutely right. It's exactly what it is. It is a false economy. I'm going to reduce the price by another 10K and hope that does the trick. If not, it's new agent time. Good luck. Country Guy on YouTube. Hello, Country Guy. Welcome. That's a new name and a new face. Says, I told the estate agent to market my house at 285. He wanted to put my house up for sale for 300K so that it would appear on Rightmove to more sellers due to the pricing levels on Rightmove. Right. This is a valid point, but it's not. So, do you list your house at 299,999 or 299,950, or do you list it at 300,000? The answer is you always list it at 300,000, because when people are searching on the property websites, if you put it in at 299,999, the people who are looking from 300 upwards won't see your house. They'll miss out on it altogether. It won't appear in their search results. So that's what, when agents say that, look, for the sake of an extra 100 quid, you should put it up to the round number. I agree with them. But this is 50, that's 5% lower. Country Guy, you're saying 285, then no, I think you're quite right to say put it at 285. You're going to get more interest at that level. I agree. Excuse me. Oh, Cats123, the seller that we spoke about earlier, you said you got no offers. I'm really, really sorry that, again, without knowing the details of your property, unless there were major problems with it, it was simply much too much money. What I'd be curious to know is what could you tell us how long since you bought the property, how long have you owned it, and what led you to believe that the price you put it on at was realistic price? Was it because all of the estate agents said the same thing? I'd love to know the answer to that. Anthony Keeley asks an absolutely excellent question, superb question. How can ordinary people know what a property is worth if estate agents don't know? Oh, that is such an excellent question. And my frustration is that most good agents do know what it's really worth, but they won't tell you what it's really worth because they're frightened as the seller. You then won't instruct them. Estate agents are afraid to be honest with sellers because it will lose them business. You know, it's like going out on a first date with someone that you like, and they ask you a question about what do you think of what I'm wearing, and you don't really like it. You're not going to tell them that on the first date, are you? You can't. I mean, maybe you can with some people, but you don't want to do that. So how do all people know what property is worth? Okay, the single simplest thing to do is to look at the properties that are showing on the internet as under offer or sold subject to contract. Only look at those ones that are like yours, the closest comparable properties to yours. Ignore all the ones that are showing as for sale because they're not selling. And if you know that the market around where you live is quite difficult at the moment, look at the ones that are selling, and you can do one or two things. Either you can then go, well, in this market, I'm guessing they probably had to take another few percent off that, so I'm going to price mine at below the asking price of the ones showing as sold to be really, really keen. Or you could ring the agent who sold that property and say, I'm thinking of selling my property, which is quite like the one that you're showing as sold. How much did that one sell for? How much is it under offer for? Can you tell me privately what it's under offer for? They may or may not choose to tell you. But you should ask, how long has it been under offer? How long has the transaction been going through? Is the transaction actually going to go through, or is it going to fall through? These are all questions you should ask, okay? But the truth is, Anthony Keeley, how do ordinary people know what a property is worth if agents don't know? The only way to find out what a property is worth is by getting competing bidders. If you only get one offer, you're almost certainly selling that property for less than you would be selling it for if you had two or more competing offers. Yeah, XR2828 says the problem I have is there are not many comparable properties. Yeah, that is very difficult. Daisy changed to Buttercup says, I did that, which means you told them up front about the right of way, and she cancelled when I told her about the right of way. Estate agent told me you should not have told her. Wait until she views the house and she may fall in love with the house. I don't agree with the agent. I mean, there is the chance that they might fall in love with it when they see it, and actually, you do have to put some trust in with your agent, actually. And I would defer, if you've got a really good agent, I would defer to their advice on the property that you're selling, because they will know the local market, the local patch, the local properties. But provided it's a good agent that you really do trust, I would take their advice over mine. Okay, Cats123, thank you very much for that explanation from your earlier comment. Cats123, who said that they couldn't sell and they took off the market, says, we live next to a derelict house that's being renovated, so I think it's putting people off. That's why I'm waiting to sell ours. Thank you very much. That is a good explanation, and that also, yeah, it makes sense. So when the building works are finished, you're right, it'll probably be easy to sell. I just hope, yeah, and if you're upsizing, then again, you aren't exposed to the price falls so much. Yeah, Leo Lees, who's a buyer, makes the very good point. I hate it when properties are advertised without a floor plan. Why? Sellers insist on as a floor plan on your property from your estate agent. In fact, I wouldn't choose an estate agent that doesn't have floor plans on all the properties that they are selling on their website. I wouldn't even consider instructing an agent that didn't use floor plans. Wouldn't even consider it. I wouldn't even ring them. John Hookham asks, this is a great question actually. Question on condition. The carpets in our flat need replacing. Do we replace them before instructing? And the same for upgrading the kitchen. That's a really good question, and I can't really give you. I mean, generally speaking, there are quite a few considerations there, which is how long would it take? I mean, if your carpets need replacing, you are going to be more likely to. I don't know if they're going to get your money back on it though. That's the point. You're putting in new carpets at the cost of 5k doesn't mean you'll get 5k more for the house, but it does mean you're more likely to sell it. It's a bit like looking at two identical cars for sale. One's just been valeted and wax polished and buffed and had all the dents taken out, and the other one hasn't. They're worth the same. You're just going to buy the one that's been tarted up, aren't you? I would, again, that's a question that if I trusted my agent, I would ask my agent, because how long is it going to take? And is it going to actually add any value to the sale of the property? I don't know that. Your local agent, you'd need to ask that question. Provided, by the way, the caveat whenever I say ask your agent, it's always assuming that you really have a good agent that you really, really trust, right? If you don't ask your agent, because you're not going to get an honest answer. You'll get whatever they want to tell you. Chris Lee asks a really good question. What do conveyancers think of buyers doing the search pack? Don't they want that slice of the pie themselves? Some of them do. Now, what's really important, now a property search pack is something that all lenders require to be purchased before they will agree to lend on a property. So if you're buying with a mortgage, you've got no choice but to have a property search pack. These are regulated products, which can include all kinds of things like environmental search and hazards and environmental hazards and radon gases, and are there coal mines nearby? Has there been mining? Is there a chance of subsidence? Local authority searches. Is there a runway going to be built over your house next year? All these sorts of things are things that lenders require before they will approve a mortgage on a purchase. Now, most conveyancers will not tell you to buy the property search pack immediately at the start. And I disagree with that. The reason they say is, oh, well, it might be a waste of money. If the lender's valuation isn't good enough, it might be a waste of money. So yes, if you buy the search pack at the beginning and the transaction doesn't go through, you might waste the 300 or 400 quid of search pack costs. However, if you wait until later to buy it, you will have incurred far more, guess what, conveyancers costs that you have to pay anyway. And they do like to buy them for you. They will sometimes make a bit of a markup on that. That's not necessarily a problem. But because conveyancers get paid whether the deal completes or not, they do not have the same motivation as you, and they're in no hurry. Okay, most ordinary conveyancers are in no hurry. It makes no difference to them how fast the transaction goes through, and it makes no difference to them whether it completes or not, unless they're really good ones. Really good ones, like the guys that I work with, pride themselves on faster turnaround times than other conveyancers. But just remember, when you choose a conveyancer as a buyer or a seller, actually, you're the client. You can instruct them. You can say, I'm sorry, I don't care what you think. This is what I want to do. You have to do what I'm telling you because you're my conveyancer. They could choose to say they're not going to work for you, but in that case, you probably don't want to work with them in the first place. So you are all entitled to buy your own search pack. You can buy one through me. I will. Here's one I made earlier. If you want to get one through me, mine are fully regulated and they're all on this URL here, mhwc.co.uk/property-pack. All the information there if you want it, and you can buy them there if you want them. And listen, you might disagree and go, oh, I'm going to wait until later and buy the search pack later. But the seller, if you are a buyer, is going to think, well, that could delay and delay and delay. I like a buyer who said buys the search pack on day one. They've just taken a month off the transaction time, on average, sometimes longer. So that's that question. So many good questions. So many good questions. I love this. It's fantastic. Teddy B. This is a very good question. Oh, there's so many good questions. Okay, I'm gonna HZ. I'm gonna take your question next. Teddy B asks, if you put in an offer and it's accepted, should you request and expect the agent to take the property off the market and so stop anyone else viewing it? That is a negotiation point, which can be agreed as part of your offer. So, for example, if I was a seller and the buyer said, here's my offer, but one of the conditions of my offer is that you take the property off the market, I would say, all right, I'll take it off as soon as you've bought your search pack and booked your survey, right? As soon as you've bought your search pack, which you can do right now today, I will take it off the market. And as soon as I know your survey, your lender's survey is booked, so I know you've committed to the survey, you've committed to the search pack, if you do those two things immediately, I'll take it off the market. Now, why would a seller be within their rights to say, no, I'm not taking it off the market until you've done that? Because lots of, especially first-time buyers, a lot of you change your mind and get cold feet and pull out the transaction several months down the line. And if the seller has taken the house off the market, they've lost the opportunity to keep other buyers interested and lined up in the meantime. So it's one of those things, which is, it's not an unreasonable request to say, here's my offer. One of the conditions of my offer is you take it off the market. Don't be surprised if the seller says, I'll take it off the market if you buy the search pack and book the lender's survey immediately. And I know that you're committed. Okay. If the seller is really reluctant about the offer being so low, sometimes sellers will say, your offer is too low. We will accept your offer, but we're going to keep on marketing it. And if we get a better offer, we're going to take it. And some buyers will go, yeah, right, fair enough. I'll roll the dice and take the chance and just hope that no one else comes along. And if you think as a buyer that what you've offered is a really fair price and no one else is going to bid more, you might roll the dice and go with that. Okay, HZ says, how long should sellers mull over offers? I don't know, because it's personal to each seller situation. But what I would say is this: if you're a buyer, I would always say, especially if you are offering lower than the buyer is expecting, or lower than the seller is expecting or hoping, I would always allow a minimum of 7 days. As per my offer email template, by the way, guys, if you're new here, I have a long, full, comprehensive offer email template. It's on my website, mhwc.co.uk. Useful tools. You'll see suggested offer email template. I always say to people that I suggest you put a time limit on your offer. It could be 7 days, 14 days, or 28 days, depending on the type of property, depending on the market, depending on the seller situation. Sometimes, and this is why it's really good when you put your offer in, to just take a breath, step back, especially if it's a lower one, and allow the sellers time to come to terms with the reality of what accepting your offer might look like. Don't pressure them. All right. Put the offer on and sit back and wait, and don't chase it for 7 days. If the sellers are perhaps, siblings who have got a probate sale, they might need even longer. They might need 2 weeks to come to terms with it. So what I would say is, when you put your offer in, most good agents will automatically or immediately acknowledge your offer and go, thanks very much for your offer. We'll come back to you when we have an answer. If you haven't had your offer email acknowledged, just acknowledging receipt of the offer within 48 hours, it's perfectly good to say to the agent, I haven't heard back from you. Could you just let me know whether you got the offer or not? Just looking for more questions. Yeah, Rog4 says, the thing is, the ones that are sold or under offer, you won't know what the accepted price was. No, that's right. That's why I would call the agent and ask. They may or may not tell you, but if you've got something to sell, then they probably are more likely to tell you. Leandra Z asks, question, what about a property coming back to the market with the same price? Okay. In a falling market, that is very frustrating for buyers when you see the same property come back on at the same price. Sometimes the seller has actually done improvements. For example, they might have put new carpets in, they might have put a new kitchen in, given a lick of paint, they might have had new photographs, it might be a better season. So sometimes there might be a valid reason for coming back on the same price. In a rising market, there's also a valid reason for putting it back on the same price. In a falling market, I'm afraid that's the sign of a delusional seller, if they haven't done anything to the property, that I mean. Okay. God, time is flying by, guys. I've got to wrap this up before 8 o'clock. We've got 10 more minutes. Do we have any more questions on Instagram, by the way? Because you all deserve to have questions answered if you're there. Right, here's a seller. Josh W182 says, hi, Charlie. House listed for 2 months. We have had plenty of viewings and they continue to trickle in, but no offers, not even a lower than asking. No issues reported from the agent. Any suggestions? Lots of viewings, but no offers. I'm surprised you haven't had feedback from the agent about why there are viewings and no offers. If there's no feedback about a particular problem, then it almost certainly will be just the price. But the agent, if the agent advised you to put it on at that price, the agent will be reluctant to say, really sorry, we've overpriced it. So my suggestion is that you lower the price, and you lower it boldly. You lower it aggressively. Because especially if you've got viewings, what that means is there's plenty of interest in the property. Okay, but not at the price you're offering it. You lower it to a price that the buyer's going to go, okay, now they're serious, then you'll get them competing with each other. I would also question the quality of the agent if they're getting lots of viewings and no offers and not giving any feedback. It might also be the fact that that the agent is reluctant, like that dating story I gave, to tell you that they don't like what you're wearing, so to speak. So I would say to the agent, could you please be brutally honest? Be brutally honest. What is it about the house that you think is stopping people offering? Oh, I see. Herbert Schiller. Okay. Yes. You were asking about the virtual tours. Your buyers. You got the idea of what you were saying. Yeah, I can see. I'll tell you why the estate agents might be frustrated, or sorry, might be reluctant about arranging a video call to show you around the property. Is that some sellers are a bit nervous about that, and agents, it tends to feel as though if you're not prepared to travel to see it, are you really that interested? Now, they might be wrong, okay, and 200 miles is a very long way. But what I would be trying to do is I'd be trying to line up several viewings on the same day to make the trip worthwhile. And obviously, for that kind of distance, you would probably want to stay overnight and get to know the area as well. It's worth doing that in any case. So I would just book the time, get down there, view as many properties as you can, and get a feel for the market. That's what I would do, especially if no one's giving you any joy on actually booking viewings with the video. By the way, one of the things that we do have on Best Agent, which is not live yet, but we've built the tech, is the ability for sellers who are happy to do a live video viewing of their house, subject to the agent approving the buyer who wants to do it, to do exactly what Herbert Schiller's just asked for, a live video tour, not a filmed video tour, but the seller or the agent actually walking you around the house remotely. And the agent can join in too. And you can do that without having to reveal each other's contact information. It's a bit like Airbnb in that respect, where we everyone's privacy is sustained, is maintained and protected. So because we see that there are scenarios where that would make sense. And a lot of sellers won't want it, and I get why that's the case. Some sellers will be very, very happy to just walk someone around if the agent's qualified the buyer and goes, this buyer is serious, they're not a waste of time, we know they are proceedable, would you walk them around the house with your phone? But yeah, that's one of the features we've got coming. So we'll be interested to see what the feedback is. AW07 says, I feel I should have a one-to-one with you, Charlie. Been looking for 4 years for a house. Not sure an hour would be enough. So guys, again, for those of you who are new here, I do one-to-one video calls, either 30 minutes or 1 hour. And you can book them on my website, mhwc.co.uk. Please allow up to 2 weeks to get the time slot booked in. Sometimes if you're available at short notice, I can sometimes get them in sooner. But by all means, it's always fun. I always enjoy those one-to-one videos. They're always really fascinating. My website, mhwc.co.uk, linked below as well. I appreciate it. Rich A asks, I appreciate good conveyancing is worth paying for. What percentage more are your conveyancers, so the partners I work with? Are we talking double or something like 30% or more? Truthfully, I don't know the answer to that. I don't think they're anywhere near double. They wouldn't get any business. In fact, I'm certain they're nowhere near double. But the thing to do is to just have a conversation. Go to my website, pop your details in the conveyancing page. They will contact you very quickly for a conversation. And it depends on a lot of things, the price range. It depends on whether it's leasehold or freehold. It depends on your situation when you're looking to move. It depends if you're buying or selling, all of those things. But that is a question you can ask them. They would be able to give you examples, I think, on that. Jim Bob says, in my area, all there is for sale is overpriced dumps or 1970s McMansions with no upgrading. Take an oil tanker to heat them. What area is that, Jim Bob? That's so funny. Dan says, in response to Rich A's question about conveyancing, I just signed up and the legal fees and costs quoted were comparable to a friend of mine who went with someone else. There you are. Comparable. Cool. Gavin Ward, who is a lawyer, says, I don't know any conveyancers that would have an issue with someone getting their own search packs. Good to hear. Good to hear. Good to know. I have had a couple that don't like it, but there we are. Right, guys, we're running out of time very rapidly, so I need to wrap this up. I'm scanning through now. LinkedIn user asks, what are the key things a buyer should consider before selecting an agent to market a property? I think you mean a seller, right? I have done a video on that. Also, I've done a video being contract ready, which is in the description below. A link to that one. Please go to my YouTube homepage, Moving Home with Charlie, find my page and look for choosing a seller, the seller's playlist. There are lots of videos there about the key things buyers should consider before selecting an agent. But remember this, right? Your choice of your future depends on your choice of agent. A good agent will get you moved within the timescale you want at the best price the market's prepared to pay. A bad agent will leave you dangling and your move is stuck and your life is on hold. It's a nightmare. Jim Bob says, it's not because they don't like you, just lower the price. It really is that. It really is that simple with most people. All right, this is the last question, and then we're going to wrap it up. XL2828 says, so is underpriced needed for competing offers? Yes, that is exactly my point. You put it at a very, very keen price that buyers are going to go above because it's definitely worth more than that price. That's the whole point I'm trying to get across. Make your asking price lower than people expect it to be and lower than the ones you're competing against. When you have competing buyers, the asking price you set becomes irrelevant. The only price that matters is the buyers competing against each other. Okay. Most valuations I have are between 250 and 235. I'm currently at 230. If the valuations I have are between 250 and 235, I would be valuing it at. I mean, if someone's valued it at 215, that's probably still close. I would be thinking, yeah, you said even 210. Yes, 210. That's exactly what I would do. Go to 210. Below what people expect, you will get competing buyers. That's exactly right. Right, guys, I've got to wrap it up. Thank you so much, all of you. This has been a really great live stream. I hope this has been helpful to you guys. I am planning on making this a regular Sunday thing. Sunday stream at 7. Sundays at 7, okay? An evening live stream. And I'm planning to do one other during the week as well. And because a lot of you have been saying to me that you can't watch live streams during the day, and you miss them. There will still be live streams during the day, during the week. But I'm planning a regular 7 p.m. Sunday. Maybe not every Sunday, but aiming for it. And another weekday evening. Thank you all very much. I hope you enjoyed that format and look forward to it. Remember, if you're a seller, don't have a price. If you're a buyer, don't have a pay. Get out and view, get out and view, get out and view. And remember that your choice of agent, choose your agent like your future depends on it, because it does. Lots of love and luck to everyone. See you on the next one. Bye-bye, guys.